Ever consistent awkward moment where you start a live and no one's on yet, knowing that this is going to be posted later and people want to know what it's about quickly. So, this conversation is about what it's like to be a coach and how important it is to not act like you know it all. So, I did a coaching call with one of my level or fear groups a few hours ago, and I was present to, I caught myself being righteous. One of the hardest things about this profession I find is I've done a lot of extraordinary things and create a lot of incredible breakthroughs, and it's tempting to get arrogant. It's tempting to get cocky and go, I know better. And what I found on this conversation we just had was I got a little righteous. And so part of the journey of being a coach is to be able to let go ongoingly, moment by moment by moment, that I have anything figured out. To be in the ongoing discovery of what it is that's missing that would make a difference in life. What it is that's missing that would make a difference in the people I work with. Because as soon as we pretend like we already know, we've robbed ourselves of discovery. And so I caught myself doing that today, and it's very humbling, very humbling. Things have been going so well for me in so many different ways, and I kind of just got a little like ahead of the game and was like, almost arrogant. And so it's great. This is just part of it. It's part of life, is like that recalibration of noticing when we go too far on one side, being too hard on ourselves, being, arrogant, cocky. And it's like, okay, coming back to security. It's this ever revolving door of movement of different emotions. So I wanted to pop on and share that and answer some questions. So go ahead and write your questions in the question box, or write them here and I'll scroll and see if we can find some. So, all right. I guess I just want to know when it is really time to let go. I know that's such a common question. How do I know I should let go of this relationship or not? There is no specific, I know it's not the answer you're looking for. There's no specific time frame to go, okay, it's time to let go. I would more ask the question of what's it costing you to hold on? What is it that you're holding on to? Because there's a difference between, being committed to someone and I'm going to stand by your side and we're going to work through this, that kind of holding on, or the kind of holding on where you're like, I'm just scared to let go because it would be new and unfamiliar to me. So I would ask you, what is the cost of continuing to keep up whatever you're keeping up? That might give you some focus. Hi, North Y. Malibu Amy says, you're not arrogant. Thank you. And I can be, just like everybody. I try to take away, I work to take away any of the labels that we have that someone is selfish or not selfish, someone's generous or caring or evil. No one is inherently any of those things. To me, it's more so we're being one way and then we're being another way. I can be arrogant. I can be cocky. I can be an asshole. I can be mean. I also can be loving and courageous and bold. We're all capable of all those things. And so what I aim to do as a coach and in my own life is to go from, am I simply reacting by default those different ways? Or am I actually leading and creating who I want to be in any situation? And so I can be arrogant, and part of checking in with myself is like recognizing when, okay, that didn't really work. I was a little off there. What is there to recalibrate? What is there to come back to? And that's part of what helps me recalibrate is actually acknowledging it. I think that's what I coach a lot of people to do, is acknowledge where I'm being inauthentic with myself. Because like you just said, I'm not arrogant. Genuinely, I'm not an arrogant person. Of course not. And it's inauthentic for me to act that way. Meaning it doesn't work. It's not who I am. And so part of us getting to have the kind of self-expression and freedom that we want is to acknowledge where we are being inauthentic with who we really are. That's where the courage comes in. So thank you for sharing that. We are all doing this. We all are, aren't we? How do you increase attraction and connection in the early stages of dating? There's a lot of different ways you can go about this. The most obvious one is your energy. is your energy, your attitude. And so attractiveness really comes from a kind of confidence and security. People are drawn to this kind of like, I don't need to do anything to prove myself to you, but I'm also not acting like I'm better than you. Kind of this topic we're talking about right now of like arrogance versus, people pleasing. That's why most of us are not attracted to someone who's like always saying yes to everything. It's like, do you have an opinion of your own, or are you just saying that because you want me to agree with you? And so when it comes to attraction, I think a place to look is, where can I be confident without being showboating? Where can I stop being so agreeable, stop saying yes to so many things, and start to, insert myself, insert my security and my opinions into things, kind of finding that sweet spot. So that would be my invitation for you, Shepetit, I think is the name, is to look at the energy. Now, of course, a lot of people don't do that. When they talk of attractiveness, they look at, oh, I need to dye my hair, I need to get a six pack, or I need to lose weight. Be healthy. Hell yeah, be healthy. But if you think you have your breakthrough to the best relationship of your life has to do with how big your arms are or how big your ass is, you are going to be sorely disappointed. And eventually all those things are going to fade and you'll be less attractive than you ever were. And then you'll be wondering, why did I work so hard on my ass or my arms instead of those insecurities, those limiting beliefs? Something I'm standing for. As you can see, I have some passion towards it. All right. What's a good age to get married? Why is it hard for me to find someone who wants to commit? There's no good age to get married. Whoever's telling you there's like a right age is just projecting their own limiting beliefs onto you. A good time to get married is when you're willing to commit yourself to somebody. Willing to commit, and they're willing to commit. That's a good time to get married. Whether you're 19 or 42, whatever. Your other question, why is it so hard to find someone who wants to commit? I mean, so much of these questions, I love them. And they're kind of like, I can only give you a seed for the deeper work. So if you're struggling to find someone who's willing to commit, then you want to look at, there's probably some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy or pattern you get. So for example, I do have an exercise in my coaching program called the unanswerable question, which is a question that we try to prove to people the answer to. We always get an answer we don't want. So for example, my unanswerable question is, when will you leave me? And so often I would pick people who I didn't think I could have a long-term commitment with because it would prove this belief that people always leave. And so my real work is to get to the source of where that belief comes from, and to be willing and courageous enough to release the story that I keep adding to it. This is kind of high-level stuff, so it might sound conceptual. So if you're finding it hard to find someone who wants to commit, you got to look at, where am I having some sort of limiting belief or thing that I'm acting as the truth that then gets proved by me continuously being with people who are not willing to commit, becoming this self-fulfilling prophecy, or you could say another way, this vicious circle. So of course, I'm going to be biased, you guys. My answer is always going to be, get coaching. Find out which one of my programs is a fit for you. Find out which one of some other coaches' programs are fit for you. Don't do this shit by yourself. Don't wait. Don't guess. Don't just read a book. Book is conceptual. Apply, action, get in it. Get actually in it. That would be my invitation to you. How do you maintain attraction during long-term relationships or long-distance relationships? LTRs. I'm going to guess, long-term. Well, again, it comes back to that attitude. So like my wife and I have been together almost 5 years now, 4.5 years. And, I'm not in love with her every day. I love her every day. And there are moments where we're in love with each other, and there's moments where we're annoyed with each other. And so the attraction comes from kind of like this willingness to show up for each other, to, whether it's, for me to have kind of like a fun, playful attitude with her in the heat of what could be a stressful moment. That's a moment of attraction for us. In moments where she chooses to dress herself up or talk to me in this super affectionate, loving way, boom, there's attraction that pops up. So I think part of it is recognizing that you're here for each other, and that I'm gonna really put on for you. Like, I'm not just gonna take for granted that you love me. I'm gonna appreciate it, and I'm gonna show up as my best self. I think when we continue to work on that, like forever, like really, like how can I be a better partner? That's attractive. I think that's really attractive, and it fosters this kind of like, wow, he's not doing it just because I'm here. He wants me to feel appreciated. He wants me to feel good. He wants me to feel loved. And I think that fosters a great level of attraction, regardless of how long you've been together. What needs should our partner be meeting in order for the relationship to last? People say you need to meet your own needs, but shouldn't your partner meet your needs too? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there's this kind of intensity online sharing about like, you shouldn't need anybody for anything. If you're a human being, you need connection to survive. You actually need it to survive. Depression is one of the biggest things as a result of loneliness. Feeling like you're the only one, feeling like you're dealing with something by yourself. There's so many studies that have demonstrated people who are happily married live longer than people who aren't. It's just like, we need connection. You're healthier, all these kinds of things. So absolutely, your partner is about offering something, offering to each other that cultivates a greater connection and fulfillment. The challenge, I think, where you're referring to is, what are those needs? How do you ask for them? Are you clear in asking for them? Do you guys have the ability to negotiate with each other to actually have the kind of relationship that you want? Right? Or is it like, I ask and then I'm passive aggressive, or I don't ask at all and I'm assuming, or maybe my ask is too big for them right now and it's something to build towards. So there's intricacies of your question there that you could look at from kind of any of those perspectives that I just gave. Thank you for that. All right. Hi there. Good morning from Sweden. Good morning. Yeah, I know it's a weird time for me to do it live. I know, from around the world, but I'm just in the mood, so I'm not resisting it. What are your thoughts around no contact after a breakup? Do it. Do it. I think I've done a few posts. Let's be friends. Let's not. You guys, being friends with your ex, to me, this is my opinion, IMO, is playing with fire. All right, you just got burned, you got scars. Why are you sitting so close to the fire? That's my obvious thing. You're just going to be tempted to put on the rose-colored glasses and think the relationship wasn't as bad as it was, and maybe I can convince myself to love them again. And before you know it, you're falling back in love with a mirage. Now, that isn't to say that you can break up and get back together. My wife and I broke up and we got back together. But we weren't friends in between any of that. It was no contact. And I believe that no contact allows you to be able to get clear about what didn't work and start a new trajectory, a new path forward. So that's my thoughts on no contact after a breakup. Have no contact after a breakup. Don't play with that fire. Just found you tonight and now you're alive. Welcome. Yeah, here I am. How about you if we not get our dreams? Sorry, I don't understand what that means. Whiskey glasses. Honestly, I just need help. I'm out of the relationship, but I'm still in love. Yet I miss those emotions and memories she gave me. We're still friends, but she's either shut off, not in a talking mood. Yeah, this is like kind of answers the question we just brought up about no contact. It's too gray. Like, you guys are still friends. There's too much grayness in that relationship. It's going to be so difficult for you to separate yourself from that relationship and get closure and get healed from it. So for me, it's like you got to cut yourselves off because it's going to be so difficult for you. You got to the invitation really is to sit in those emotions. Like, you miss someone so much, right? You had this deep connection and you miss them. Of course you do. They were an integral part of your life. There were so many good memories. Even though there were challenges, there were great memories too. And so your job is to sit in that feeling, to not try to cover it up. And most of us cover it up by reaching out to the person. You know, we don't want to feel that sickness, that pain. It's like, feel it. Let yourself feel it. Because if you can let yourself feel it, you can get to the other side of it and realize that you have more power over that feeling, rather than that feeling completely governing your choices, owning you. because now you're reaching out from a place of fear, not from a place of love. And you know how that's going to go. You know that story. So when it's gray, it's just tough, you guys. It's really tough. What is your biggest fear and have you overcome that fear? Oh, we're getting intense now. Thank you, Emmy, for the question. So many of you do not know. I used to share a lot more about this, but I haven't, just because there's only so many things you can share. People who are in my coaching program know about this. So my biggest fear is to experience and die of Huntington's disease. My dad died of Huntington's disease 6 years ago. And if you don't know what Huntington's disease is, it is a mix of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS at the same time. It's one of the worst brain diseases you can imagine. It's genetic. And so because my dad had it, there was a 50% chance that I was also born with the same disease. Not like cancer where you have like a likelihood. It's like eye color where you're born with it or you're not. When I was about 25, I got tested for the disease. I am in fact positive for the genetic predisposition for Huntington's disease. So pending a cure or some transformative experience, doctors would tell you that I will 100% get Huntington's disease in my life. And it's a very slow, brutal death that involves losing the ability to speak and walk and think and to be able to control your emotions and all these things. It's one of the things that propelled me into coaching because I was so scared of this. It's also this beautiful gift because it allows me to be extremely present to what matters in my life. You know, it helps me take acts of courage when I'm scared because I'm way more scared of that. And that motivates me to take the leaps forward into coaching, into the different ways that my life has happened so far. So it's quite a gift. I see it as quite a gift, but it is my greatest fear to experience that disease and to have my family have to take care of me. It really, really scares me. And so how do I overcome that fear? Well, I believe we're going to find a cure in my lifetime. I absolutely do. I don't know how yet, but my whole philosophy around coaching and the principles that I operate from is based in the willingness to discover the path without knowing how. That's how we have anything new in our life. And so I want something new. I want to be a grandfather. I want to live to be, 90, 100 years old, be a super healthy, long life. And according to doctors today, that would be impossible, given my genetic predisposition. I don't believe in that. I live an extraordinary life, not even close to the average life. And so based on probabilities, it would be foolish to think I could live the life I have, foolish to think that I could have the breakthroughs that I have with the clients I work with. But guess what? We're out to live an extraordinary life. So how do I overcome that? One is to live the work that I coach, which is the willingness to discover the new possibilities of life, the willingness to discover a path when I don't know how. I believe meditation is going to be a huge factor in that for me. I also believe there's a bunch of things for me to discover that I haven't discovered yet. So it's this ongoing boundary within myself of not focusing on it too much, but also letting myself feel that fear. To acknowledge with you right now that I am scared of it. And it doesn't run my life. I actually don't think about it very much. I used to think about it every day. I don't think about it very much. I think about what I'm creating. I think about what my life is for. I think about what I'm up to, not this thing that's, off in the distance that is out of my control. And that gives me a lot of peace. It gives me a lot of power in different situations. It also is very motivating. We're all dealing with something. You're all here, on this live or watching my content because you're dealing with something challenging and you're not sure how to go about it, or you're feeling stuck. And so that is something that connects all of us, and it's really beautiful to be able to connect it in that way. So that's my biggest fear, and it's also one of my biggest motivators. So context and perspective really changes anything for us. Thank you for that question and giving me the opportunity to share that. Good morning from South Africa. Hope you're well. Thank you. Awesome. My dad was born in South Africa, by the way. And I was there 3 months ago. Happens that it happens that all my ideal partners are taken. I've tried asking a few guys, and it seems like everyone is taken. Well, if they're taken, I wouldn't say that you're ideal partners. I think your ideal partner is right there somewhere looking for you too. And so there's no question there, but I would invite you to put your attention on, if they're taken, they're not your partners. There's somewhere else to put your attention that's going to create a kind of attraction for you. All right, we're just going to do one or two more and then I'm going to hop off. Because I just saw a message from my wife that she wants me to clean the bottles for breast milk. So priorities, you guys, priorities. What is your best advice when leaving a narcissistic relationship to begin a new relationship? Well, the challenge with that is comparing the past relationship to the new one. So you're going to have kind of your guard up sometimes. You're going to be a little bit worried, trying to protect yourself from the past person, even though you're with a new person. So your biggest work is to recognize that you are with a new person, to not start to project your concerns and fears from the past onto this new person who's got a clean slate. Give them a clean slate. Okay, that's going to give you the opportunity for a new dynamic with that person. Otherwise, you're just going to repeat with them. So that would be the first piece of advice. Give them a clean slate. Okay, be on the lookout for when you start to project your fears of that past person onto this new person. That would be a starting point. I don't want to give you more than that. All right, last one. My partner is kind of abusive in upsets, and it's not okay, but I'm in love, so I don't know. So a couple questions for you. Define abusive. Okay, there's physical abuse. There's certain things that someone says. Are they raising their voice? Are you calling your names? Get specific about it. Okay, so that you can get specific about what's not okay. Okay. One of the greatest gifts we can do, this only can happen in romantic relationships, I believe. One of the best things about romantic relationships is your partner is going to be a mirror for your greatest development, your greatest expansion. My wife has been amazing for me in that in so many aspects. And so if you look at, it's not okay, but you're in love. So someone's crossing a boundary and you love them. Complicated, challenging. So you have to be willing to risk the love to stand for the kind of behavior that you're okay with. You are allowed to say, and this is what I invite you to give yourself permission for, I love you. I love you and I care about you. And I will not tolerate this behavior. I love you too much to see you act like this. It's not okay. It's not acceptable for me. So if you want to be in this relationship, this is going to have to change. You got to get clear about it. Okay. And that's going to take courage. That's why I'm always talking about love over fear, because that's going to be a scary thing to take on. But that is love, by the way. To me, that's one of the truest forms of love, is when you don't tolerate someone else's nonsense. You see the bigger version of them. You see the incredible person that they are some of the time, most of the time. And then every once in a while, they dip down into this foolish, disrespectful thing. And you go, not doing it. I love you, but I'm not doing it. Okay? So if you want to be in this relationship, we can create something extraordinary together. We can create something amazing, but not if this keeps happening. That's off the table. Notice how that's not an ultimatum. Notice how it's not me being righteous about it. It's taking a stand, which is a whole unique way to go about making a behavior change. All right, you guys, that was a bit of a long one. Thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for listening. Meet me in the DMs if you got questions. Apply for a discovery call if you want to learn about my coaching programs. I love you guys. I love doing this work, and I love getting to see people who want to make a difference in their relationships, in their life. It's what else are we going to do with our time? That's the way I see it. It's a life well lived. So see you soon. Hope you're enjoying the content.